Look at how far I've come. Garrett Buck's male feminist, just nailing it. This was like, no, Garrett, you can't quit this. You love this. Will he get to make his boxy concrete building or not?
I'm Miranda Rake.
And I'm Sarah Wheeler, and this is The Mother of It All, where we take on motherhood through the lens of culture and culture through the lens of motherhood.
Thank you for listening to The Mother of It All. Welcome. It is Valentine's Day. And my Valentine today is Garrett Bucks. Garrett is an anti-racist organizer, educator, who's taught me so many things. He's the author of The Right Kind of White and the White Pages Substack, which is one I actually pay for. I love reading. Garrett also started the Barn Raisers Project, which I was a student of, which teaches people how to organize in their own local communities. Welcome, Garrett. Happy to have you back.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get into some fucking movies. Okay, I wait all year, just for context, in case anybody doesn't know this, for Oscar season. Even though, like, the ceremony itself, slap aside, is mostly just totally boring and mostly predictable, and I never once win the Oscar pool because it's rigged. I love awards. I love movies. And I also get kind of like, I have that ADHD, like all or nothing obsessiveness that I think, I don't want to type you, but we share a little bit, Garrett. And so once I like have a task, like watch as many fucking movies as you can, I get obsessive about it. And I have a delightful winter. And then like, this kind of spring-ish time emerges where my obsession becomes something everybody is interested in, but no one's quite as interested, I think, as you.
As it turns out, which is weird because I don't think I ever thought of myself as a big movie person, but maybe because for the similar reasons, this became something to fixate on. I write about culture and therefore and what culture says about the stories we tell ourselves. And so I think a few years back, I was like, oh, this seems like an interesting thing to like be more interested in, like first the Oscar movies and then perhaps like just like a year in movies as a thing to consider. And so like I accidentally became a person who's really into this stuff, Sarah. I don't know how it happened.
Well, this the dorkiness. It's the Pete Seeger in you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's because I'm so cool. Yeah, no.
It's all right. So it's because you're so, of course I think you're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see? Yeah. Wait, did you see my whole, by the way, just quick aside, Valkyrie's sweatshirt?
I saw the front
Stand
of
up. I wore this for you. My Golden State Valkyries shirt. It is unlicensed. I got it off T Public because I did not like the straight up merch. But I'm very excited about this team. And I do want to say just one basketball thing
Please.
that I had planned for Valentine's Day to have AI Illustrator make a GIF of former Milwaukee Bucks coach Mike Budenholzer like popping naked out of a cake for you, but I couldn't get it to do it.
You could not get it because like that's the one thing that AI is unwilling to
It's
do.
the only
You tried
thing that
and
AI
they're like
can't do.
ruin all of our lives, take over governments. They're like totally down. Like
Improve the Romanian accents of Bulgarian Romanian accents of the lead actors of The Brutalist,
thank goodness.
but it cannot give you a Valentine.
Well,
Okay,
it was not ready.
so here's my run of show for you. I want to hear your top 10 movies of the year.
Sure.
I'm gonna do mine in ascending order, but you can do whatever you like. I want to know what the worst movie you saw of the year was.
Yes.
I want to hear, I know we have some differences already about our top 10, so I want to get into those differences. And then, I think you talked about how you write about culture. Obviously, we like to just watch movies, but I think we're both interested in what the movies say about the culture. So I love these topics that you brought. Thank you for giving me these. Like, I want to get into what this year's crop of movies say about gender and parenting. And then I thought we might give what I'm calling the Gare Sarah Awards, which are just completely random awards where we make up the categories. And I'd also love to hear the best and worst movies you saw with your kids this year. Do you think we can do that all in 32 minutes?
100% not.
All
But
right.
let's do it.
We talk fast. Okay. Top 10 movies of the year. Now, sorry, you saw 24 movies. I'm looking at your
I saw
Letterboxd
24
right now.
movies. You saw 36. Tell me about.
Actually, I miscounted. I saw 39.
That's so many movies, Sarah. That's incredible.
Yes.
To what do you owe your success in movie watching?
Well, I have to credit my husband John because he lets me he unlocks my chain so that I can go out every Thursday night. And I more often than not I go to the movies. So I saw 21 movies in the theater this year. The rest I saw at home, and then I also saw one movie on a plane on a Kindle Fire looking over someone's shoulder. We chatted about that yesterday. We'll get into that. That might be my worst movie of the year. And I don't think it was just the viewing experience.
Although that sounds incredible. That sounds how directors intend for their films to be watched.
Exactly.
100%.
Just
Yeah.
and I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Shamelia
That's right.
Chimeras.
That's right.
Okay, Garrett Bucks's top 10 movies
Now,
of 2024.
When you say ascending order, is that because you're smarter than me? Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10, 9, 8? No, that would be ascending. So my favorite.
Did I ever tell you I got a perfect score on my math SATs?
Look,
have I ever told you that?
You did not come to that, but I don't. I believe it because you're very smart.
But I don't do words so well. I think it rises. So we start with number 10.
Cool. Okay, so my 10th favorite movie.
10th favorite movie of the year. Yeah.
Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Number 9, Dahomey.
Saw it.
Number 8, Baby Girl. Number 7, Challengers. Number 6, Kneecap. Number 5, Honora. Number 4, Janet Planet. Number 3, The Brutalist. Number 2, The Bike Riders. Number 1, Nickel Boys.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Always.
We have some overlap, but also we diverge in a really exciting way. And some of these movies, at least one of them I saw you put pretty low down, and I want to ask you about it. Okay. My number 10 movie of 2024 of the 39 that I saw is The Substance.
Yep.
My number 9 is Wicked, which I actually saw twice. I saw 3 movies twice in the theater, I'll let you guess. And I only counted The Brutalist once, but I feel like I saw it 4 times. Okay. Number 8 is A Real Pain. Number 7 is a little movie called Sasquatch Sunset,
which I learned about from your newsletter.
Yeah, thank you. Number 6 is A Conclave. Number 5, Janet Planet. Number 4, Baby Girl. Number 3, Nickel Boys. Number 2, Challengers. Also saw that twice in the theater.
Heck yeah.
And number 1, Honora.
Great list. Great list.
Likewise.
So which one did you want to point out seemed low on my list that was one of your faves?
You didn't put Substance. Substance was not on your top 10. I'm looking at your Letterboxd.
Yep.
Did I say that right? Letterboxed. And you put The Substance. Wow. You put Amelia Perez, 23, second to last next to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Absolutely.
Oscar material. Oh, Substance was number 14 for you. Okay.
So, and I want to make it very clear, as you look at that top 24 list, I would say part of my relationship to movies is I think I still have like a 7-year-old's relationship to movies, unless I'm like truly like challenged, but like a movie like is totally terrible, I will assume every movie is good, right? So I think there were only, out of 24 movies I saw this year, there were only 2 I did not like. My number 23 and my number 24 I did not like. Starting with number 22, Mean Girls, the remake, I'm in on every movie that's above that. So 14 for The Substance is not bad. Why would Substance not be higher for me? 100% everything they're doing fun, interesting, thought about it a bunch, etc. 100% just a genre thing for me. That it would be higher if I, as you know, when you tell me
Yeah.
the blank kind of gross, creepy, scary movie, I can't do it. I am a
Yeah.
baby, and
You're Pete Seeger.
well, first, I don't know, maybe secretly Pete Seeger like loves like really, really gross, like two-headed lady monster. But I'm a
We'll
squeamish
never
dude.
know.
I'm a squeamish dude. So I had to watch The Substance. I knew that I had to wait to watch The Substance at home when I could be doing some fast forwarding. In spite of that, thought it was a damn good
Wait,
movie.
my 6-year-old does that, but she fast forwards when things are like awkward. Like she can't handle like someone has a secret and it's about to be revealed or something. She'll fast forward that. You fast forward The Substance?
This is how you know I'm a real cinephile. Because if a movie is gross, scary, creepy, or some version of the above, here's what I have
Oh,
to do.
that's so cute.
I don't want a damn nightmare. Here's what I have to do. Here's what I have to do. I read the Wikipedia entry so that I know what's coming plot wise. So that I know, like, oh, I bet like something gross is about to happen. And like to its credit, the movie also gives decent cues of when something gross is about to happen. So yeah,
Do you watch it under a sheet like Nicole Kidman saying her sexual desires in Baby Girl?
that's what I do. Everything is under a sheet
It's the only safe
in
way.
exactly the way.
Okay.
That's also how I deal with all my interns. Absolutely, yeah.
So I want to touch on a movie that we both put pretty high that I'm guessing very few of our listeners saw, which is Janet Planet.
Ruled,
A
ruled.
first film, by the way, by playwright Annie Baker, who wrote and directed it. That I agree, it fucking ruled. Garrett, why did you love Janet Planet? And could you tell us what it was about? I remember, but for the people.
Well, Janet Planet is a period piece. I think early '90s. It is
Yeah.
specifically set. Tell me, as somebody who had Bohemian parents in Massachusetts, this is a Western Massachusetts movie.
Western Mass.
Absolutely, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
The
Yeah.
the Boston version of this would have been different and just significantly more crowded, I think.
Yes. And there would have been fewer like experimental druggy plays in the woods.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The experimental druggy stuff would have been happening like outside of a subway, outside of a T stop. Yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah. Less beautiful.
But yes, it is about a tween girl who has a very lives with a very bohemian acupuncturist mom who is
The first acupuncturist,
also
I'm
the most
guessing.
sought after romantic partner in her particular bohemian milieu possible. And
Flip
um
box.
it walks you along a particular summer in these two women's lives, a summer in which lots of adults come in and out of both of their lives. That there is a lot of themes of connection and disconnection and belonging and alienation, but mostly it's just a deeply, deeply visceral, like, oh, you are hanging out with with probably for you too, people that I could very much relate to.
Yeah.
It is. I was very surprised. It is very much felt like a movie that was equally a coming of age kind of Bildungsroman movie about the girl, about the daughter. And I was surprised to not see it on your incredible mothers and movie posts because it felt like very much of a type in terms of movies about mothers struggling with what is my identity post motherhood.
Yep.
That we saw a
Yep.
lot of this year, I think, in different ways.
Yeah, I literally just forgot to put it on my list
Yeah,
of mom movies of the year that I published on Mom Spreading. It was probably my favorite, and I don't know, my brain just has a lot of holes in it.
but you would not disagree with me that that is a mom movie.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it does. So there's also like a big theme of like kind of parentification. Like I think more of like, my I have a sister who's 12 years older than me. Like like she was born in the early 70s, so like it was just a different kind of era, and my parents were a lot like that kind of in the movie
Mhm.
then, a lot of adultification and parentification and kind of like benign neglect. And also like kind of seeing things that you shouldn't see, right? Like your child should not be your drug doula, right? There's a really good reveal in this movie to that effect. But they did it so well, and I've never seen in a film a like parentifying mother not to be a straight villain.
Mhm.
And this film like super humanizes her. You're not really, even like up until the very last scene, you're not really sure whether she's a bad mom or a good mom. It's just, I mean, it's beautifully shot, but I think like for that alone, it's just an like absolute outstanding film.
So well put. So
Yeah.
well put. Everyone should watch Janet Planet.
And
Yeah.
it's and I will give a shout out, I know we're Oscar bros, but to the Independent Spirit Awards, because it did get recognized by Independent Spirit for cinematography and I think like best first feature. I think that girl should have been nominated for
100%.
yeah, she was a non-actor. Um the girl who played that role. This was like her first acting role. It's just insane. So, okay. So we agree we love Janet
Yes.
Planet.
And the other things I will say, if people watch Janet Planet because we are influencers and they'll watch anything we tell them to,
Oh yeah, millions.
after if you love that, have you seen the Swedish film Together? It was called Tillsammans in Sweden.
No, I heard of it, but I have not seen it.
Please watch if you love this.
Okay.
Like in terms, you mentioned like parentification of children, right? Like, but like there's a specific version of that in amongst idealistic bohemians of a specific generation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very interested for obvious reasons with when you and I grew up and by whom, right? I'm interested in both the lessons of that now that I am a parent positively, the lessons of that, of course, constructively, like on both sides. And no movie gets that while just feeling like just so viscerally of a place and a time, and you can smell the carob, like
Mm-hmm.
the way that you can in Janet Planet,
Yes.
like Moody Sins Together, Tell Simon, which is also very, very funny.
You
So
can smell
check
the
it out.
Nag Champa in the scent of my childhood in Janet Planet.
100%. Yeah,
Okay. So now let's talk about a disagreement.
please.
Um you I want to talk about The Brutalist. It is a
Yeah.
movie.
A movie you loved.
It's definitely a movie. It's 3.5 hours long.
It is so much movie.
It's a lot of movie. Okay, I'm gonna start with what I loved. I loved the like kind of ego of it. Like I loved being like, you motherfuckers are gonna watch a 3.5 hour movie and we're gonna give you an intermission and we're gonna name each part of the film. It was just very like old movie, very like out there. Like we respect our work. I think as a counter to Janet Planet, which is like a very humble film, I found that interesting. But mostly I liked it. I liked the brazenness of doing that. Although you do know this, but my car was broken into while I was in that movie, and I maintain that it happened after like the 2 hour and 30 minute mark.
That was really, really rude of director Brady Corbet to steal your car, just to like further put you in
It
like
was either
reflecting on the
him.
death of the American dream.
It was
Yeah,
either him or somebody who was just like, they went into that movie theater way too long ago. This is
yeah.
like, they need, yeah. But it was quite long. So what that was good. I thought it was very pretty. I liked the cinematography. I loved the music. I think, Adrian Brody, yes, forever. Great actor.
Tell me why it sucked, Sarah. Tell me why it sucked.
I enjoyed the first half. I think ever since Laurel Canyon, I can't get enough of what's his name? I love him so much I can't remember his name.
Brody?
No, the guy from
Oh,
Laurel Canyon who plays the cousin.
sure. Okay, yeah. my guy's name, who I was not familiar with previously. I did not see Laurel Canyon. Is our guy Alessandro Nivola
Yeah, that's what I said.
of
Alessandro
the
Nivola slaps. He's so good in this movie.
Sicily Nivolas? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Of the
Yeah.
Nivola is my favorite shape of pasta. Um, yeah, he was great. Okay, what did I not like? We have talked about this, and I think we're gonna slide into the gender conversation a little bit here. Um,
You can't not slide in the gender conversation.
well, just as a film, I think so. Richard Brody reviewed it in the New Yorker. Finally, there's a New Yorker film critic who isn't like a total fucking hack like David Denby or Anthony Lane. And I agree with Richard Brody a lot. And basically, what he said, he was comparing it a lot to Nickel Boys, which we both loved, and talking about how there's like no interiority in these characters in The Brutalist. And I think
Mm.
that was my main complaint, that I was like, I don't care. I don't really know anything about like who you really are and what you want. It all feels very tropey. So that was one complaint. I think I also I really like Felicity Jones, but they need to stop putting her in bad wigs and giving her bad accents, whether
Mm.
AI or not. And then I there's just the gender of it all where I'm like, to me, I'm like, I think I'm watching a movie about how the biggest crime in the world is not maybe the Holocaust, which is a character in it, but that a man wouldn't reach his ambition and
Mhm.
potential.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't care. And when I think about a movie like Janet Planet, I'm like, that's some real shit. That those are like real stakes, is like, is your child going to grow up well adjusted? And I think I just don't care whether like a guy that maybe like, was one of many architects that drew cool shapes gets to make his shapes times or not. And also, I think it was also a movie about how, which I don't know, could be for or against it, about how men have like no outlets for their grief. And so all the male characters in it are either, abusive, or drug addicts or alcoholic, or just like egotistical and closed up and, yell whenever they're sad. And I guess I have empathy for that, but I'm a little bored by it. Okay, I'm done.
That was great. You cooked. That was really, really good. So
You're so
I
patient.
I will not defend the brutalist to you
What?
because no. I mean, like in terms of like, I don't care if anyone else vibed with this movie or not, right?
Oh
I've
God, you're so generous. I'm such a dick. I'm like, this is good and it's objective, and this is
I've
bad.
I've loved vibing with this movie, and all of
Mm.
your critiques are totally right. And actually, no, and actually, like I think your critiques helped coalesce for me why what I got out of this movie that was different from the other movies I really, really loved this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I think about the other movies, well, I'll pause first and say, like, if you look at my list, right, like you will see that there's a lot of movies in here where that are interested, I think, or say interesting things about like the stories that masculinity tells itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Deadpool versus Wolverine.
that is not one of them. That is why that movie
That's
is
the
last on my
only
list.
movie you didn't like.
Even there's another one, but at least the other one I didn't like is interesting to talk to. Thank you, Senora Perez. This
Yeah.
Deadpool, nothing interesting to talk about in that. But like everyone, like I think there's an interesting story of this moment in masculinity and the
Mm.
stories we're telling about and the stories and what we have and haven't identified about what about the false starts and wrong turns that men that we I'm going to put myself in this that we as men are looking down right now in trying to like cure what's wrong with us, right? I think that 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 theme I was interested in a bunch of movies. In the majority of movies that I was interested in that, either on the masculinity side or in movies I was really loved that told women-centered stories, the majority of movies that I loved this year, I loved for how it explored whatever themes it was interested. Be that motherhood, be that like be that midlife sexuality, be that class, be that race, be that gender,
Hockey, Inside Out too.
especially hockey, and how much it messes you up when you're not as good at hockey as
That
you'd like
movie
to be.
was so bad.
That movie was about hockey. So but in so many of those movies, what I loved about it, right, was I got to explore this by caring deeply about the characters, right? Like Nickel Boys, the Bike
Oh,
Riders, Honora, 100% Janet Planet are all like in Kneecap are all like incredibly made movies in which the characters themselves, like spending time with these people and walking in their shoes, and Nickel Boys, like very, very literally walking in their shoes. That's what you're going to get about, right? Like Nickel Boys is not a story about the like last vestiges of the Jim Crow South, like writ large. It is a story about these dudes and like their experience coming of age in that moment, right?
mm-hmm.
Honora is a story about class and outer borough, like half assimilated ethnic identity and sex work and power dynamics and that. But it's through the story of, about four people, right? Like kind of coming to terms with that. And the look on, in all of these looks, it's like in Janet Planet, in Nora, in Nickel Boys, it's about the look on their faces that they do so. The Brutalist, none of that.
Mm.
100% I agree with you. I don't care about these characters. And also I um I don't need, even as a guy, even as a cis straight white guy, I too am okay with no more movies about this great, brilliant man is feeling torn up in one way, either because he won't get to do his brilliant things, or like Oppenheimer last year, he got to do his brilliant thing, but it turned out to be a
It
bomb.
it
And then
was
he
a
realized
bad
that.
thing.
Right, right, right. I
I
don't
know.
need any more of these movies. So why did I hate Oppenheimer and why did I love The Brutalist?
Yes,
Because the other themes that have nothing to do with the character, well, first off, because it looked cool as hell, it
it
sounded
did.
cool as hell, it had fonts, because the building itself looked cool, because like all of this, right? Like, because everything it made me think about that wasn't these characters was really, really interesting, right?
Mm.
Like the question of Zionism, right? Like, and like even what the movie's relationship is or isn't to Zionism, the question of who tells a story of that. When you look at like, not to spoil too much, whose voice starts the movie and who ends the movie and who's silent at different points is really, really interesting throughout the movie. The relationship, like the story the United States told about itself in this like post-war era and the cracks in that facade, the relationship, as somebody who's had to do a lot of nonprofit fundraising, the relationship between benefactors and grant recipients,
Yeah,
and the
I hope you were never involved in a relationship like that. I'll just say. Was Teach
I
for
had
America? Did Teach for America have a Guy Pearce?
there was one trip to Italy that I can't talk about, Sarah, but
Oh,
no, to not blaspheme anybody. No, no, no.
oh
That
my
was not
God.
my literal experience. And in fact, like one of the criticisms could be that sometimes my guy Corbet is a little too on the nose about what he
Yeah,
deserved, like
yeah.
100%, right? Like, but all of that is really, really interesting. Like, I will read like every single think piece about this movie's relationship to Israel and whether or not that is a lionization, whether that is a complication of it, etc. I think that's cool as hell, and I love thinking about that stuff after I spent 3.5 hours in a, let's be honest, mostly dude-filled cinema, eating some popcorn, listening to some brassy score, looking at just sharp angles, seeing fonts come across the screen, and knowing that like every single camera move a director wants me to like look at it and be like, good job, Mr. Corbet, you chose that. That's a fun time at the movies for me, and I don't care that I don't I actually am not that interested in Laszlo Toth.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair, fair. And I'm
Yeah,
happy for you. I just do want to say, I have movie generosity. Like I also go into movies expecting I will like them. And like I just want people to enjoy movies mostly. And a little bit like 10% I want to be right. That just I can never let go of that.
oh,
But
objectively, I think you're right. I think in a world, no, like it does. does the would it be more interesting if a movie of this scope, with this many ideas, with this much particular, like with this much intentionality between like every choice it's making, would it be better if that movie was centered a topic other than great man is really, really smart and good at what he does? Yes, 100%. So I think objectively, like on whether or not like everything I loved about the Brutalist, whether or not we could apply it to different canvases. Oh, you're totally right.
Yeah.
And I think like my the most male thing about me is that there's no cis white man in America that does not have at least one great man tries to get his thing done story that we love. And this ended up being mine.
Yeah.
I thought with my deep critiques of Oppenheimer last year, I thought like, look at how far I've come. Garrett Buck's male feminist, just nailing it. And this this was like, no, Garrett, you can't quit this. You love this. Will he get to make his boxy concrete building or not?
Well, and let's just to give a little credit. This movie at least was made for $10 million and not like the $100 million that Oppenheimer was. You know, it's so that's humble. I think well, what I've been thinking about this a lot with like culture for men. You know that like I want to be generous to men, and I don't want to like I don't want to like toss out fuck men all the time. I want my fuck men to be like nice and juicy and potent and deserved. And
Yeah.
so I don't think this was a like fuck men for me quite in the way that like Oppenheimer was. Um
Mm.
but 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 so I'm trying to be more humble about like not for me. Like I think one movie that I saw this year that was kind of like that is this movie Hundreds of Beavers. Did you see that? No, it's not on
A
your list.
Wisconsin movie. So I still have not seen it, but I just need to shout out as a Milwaukeean, as a Wisconsinite, this is a Wisconsin made film. I have still not seen it, but it is. Everyone has says this is a fun as hell movie. Did you enjoy
It's
it or did you
really
not?
fun. It's basically live action Looney Tunes.
Yep.
And it was my husband's favorite movie of the year. He saw it several times. And then we like at a local theater for his birthday, we like bought out the theater and played the movie. And we had like friends and strangers there and cake. And it was really fun. It's a really creative movie. It's really well done. I enjoyed it a lot. And it's like a bunch of dudes doing a thing that like I think if you weren't raised as a dude, however you want to define that, it's just like kind of, hard to access. I was just like, this isn't for me. I'm having a good time, but like this is, like Babes was for me. Babes
Sure.
Babes was for me. And I was sitting in that theater being like, thank you. And I could see that a man with good intentions, a feminist man would probably have enjoyed Babes, but not like kind of like plugged his soul into it the way that my husband did with Hundreds of Beavers. And so that's fine. I don't have to be like offended by that. Men get to have culture too.
Yeah, I think I think yes, and the question is, we get to have it. Did we have that? All like, have we done that enough? But here's what I will say, Sarah. If you want a if you want a true movie about what do guys want to do when they can let their guard down and like just be with the fellas, do you know what we really love doing that was depicted on screen this year? Guys, in our deepest hearts, we want to get with the fellas and choose a new pope.
Oh,
That's
that
guys being dudes. That was the best guys being dudes movie.
I agree. Conclave was a bunch of dicks in robes.
That's right.
And I was like, these robe dicks are for me. I am having a fucking blast.
Of course, it's because it's fun watching the guys argue with each other.
It really is. It really. I
Yeah.
want all the tooch. Yeah, and I think that was like an example of like this is the kind of it was a book, right? This is the kind of book, the kind of movie that like I'm not picking up in an airport. This is not, and I know there's a lot of men that just devour stuff like this, but it was so good, and it also like I did, I thought the characters were really really drawn out, and I just love a hallway. I love a good hallway shot.
So many great hallways. So many
Well,
great
Paul,
hallways.
so sorry, just tie up your little bow of like the year of movies about masculinity for me.
Yeah. I think we're doing well. First off, 2024 will be remembered in general as a year in masculinity where we were doing great. The
Great.
guys,
Oh
the guys
God.
were the guy. I, I mean, I think like my bigger summary on 2024 was this year in which the hollowness of what we have offered each other as men and been offered was revealed, right? And I think you reveal the hollowness of a promise not at a moment where it appears to be culturally at its nadir, but like at a moment where like the men this year got everything we wanted, right? Like if we look at when I say men, I don't mean like any
You mean the
individual men,
manosphere?
and the product of and the project of patriarchy, right? This was the year the project of patriarchy and the way in which men internalized that got every single thing it wanted politically, every single thing that it wanted culturally, every and revealed even in its victory, right? To be miserable, to be bitter, to be alone, to not just have ruined lives for everyone, to have sold their souls and still be missing out on the on love, on core, on connection, on being embedded in humanity, right? And I
Well said.
and the movies that I was interested in from a masculinity perspective, right? Um, Showcased either cracks in that, right? Like I think like the relationships at the heart of Nickel Boys
Mm.
showcases models of male friendship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
models
So
of black male
beautiful.
friendship in particular, right? Against like a toxic stew of both racism and patriarchy, right? And class. Um, but then so many of the other movies I love, The Bike Riders, which is just I put up that super high on my list partially because it's just Rust Belt subculture, and I will love nothing more than Rust Belt subculture in class movies. But it's about a biker gang, and so it's a set of intensely loyal friends whose friendship would be so much different with a different relationship to patriarchy. Kneecap, the movie about the West Belfast like rap group, like is about Ireland and Britain and all of that, but is also like about like a friendship that is actually pretty beautiful that could be a
Mm.
little more beautiful if there was about 15% less bravado and about 20% more vulnerability allowed into it, right? And so the movies I watched this year to watch dudes, I mean, were movies that I think revealed the broader hollowness of like this year in masculinity, right?
Mm.
That everything we're chasing as a product of patriarchy as men is only going to get us so far. And like even Dune, by the way, like was about that, right? Like was playing with interesting ways about like the traditional white male hero. What is the limits of that, right?
Mm.
Side note about Dune, Sarah, also a mom movie.
What?
Uh, have you watched
I
Dune Part Two?
I Dune Part Two, I think so. I have three more Oscar nominated films to see. I'm Still Here, Dune, and A Complete Unknown. I will like watch A Complete Unknown while I'm doing laundry or something. It's fine. I'm interested in the Brazilian movie, but I don't think I can watch Dune Part Two. I haven't seen Dune Part One, and sand makes me kind of nervous. I might have to fast forward it.
Fast forward through sand.
It
Here,
gives me the ickies.
here's my pitch to you. I do
It's a
not agree with Frank Herbert's worldview on religion. I'll note that. That's a big, we think differently things about whether religion could be a positive force in society. But at its
you're pro.
core, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dune is a boy mom movie. Dune is about what if a mom truly made it her project to make her son succeed?
Ooh.
What would that look like? And how tattooed does her face end up getting in the process?
Oh,
That is
that's
my
good because
pitch to you,
I'm
Sarah
trying to
Wheeler, to watch Dune Part
optimize
2.
my son. I'm trying to optimize him hard and
Would you
for the
let
future.
are you
So,
are you ready? Are you willing as a mom to do whatever it takes so that your son becomes a literal messiah?
Face tattoos?
One,
I'll think about
I
it.
mean, that's easy. You've already done that. But
Yeah.
yes, that
I
is my pitch to you. Do not, you don't have to
wow.
watch, you don't have to watch Dune Part One. Watch Dune Part Two and vibe on it as a boy mom movie.
I'm in. All right, I'm gonna do it. You know what my
Yeah.
favorite movie about masculinity was this year? And I
What?
don't know what it says because I was too busy having fun. Twice Challengers. I mean that. So I was gonna give
Yes.
some
Yes.
Sergeirs.
One.
I don't know if you have any special awards to give, but my favorite couple in the movies of the year were Fire and Ice from Challengers. It's what me and my husband are dressing as this year for our Oscar party. We will be bringing churros, and I just thought that was the great romance of film this year.
100%.
They were
I
so beautiful. And I loved, I don't know. I mean, yes, it was about masculinity. It was also just about friendship. All of the talk about were they really in love? I don't know. I don't care. It's just, it's fun.
100%. And I'll just say very quickly about Challengers. The last time I was on this podcast, it was to talk about the movie Mamma Mia. And my take on Challengers is that Challengers is a Mamma Mia, meaning that it is a movie about the lengths that a female character goes to teach the men in her life to be friends.
Yep.
And that,
It's a Mamma Mia.
and it takes a lot, it takes a lot of work. And Challengers was this year's, my award. This year's best Mamma Mia was by far Challengers. Now,
That's
Sarah,
your
before
that's your
we get
random award.
deeper into it, I got to go give my long ponderous what does Garrett think about this? What this year said about masculinity? What did this year in movies say about gender, about femininity? Like what? I want you to cook in the same way.
Well, I'm hot off of Amelia Perez. I saw it, last night
We have
on.
not mentioned this movie this entire
I
time.
know.
Which is wild because listeners, it's so good. And just so well made and the points it makes and its
It is
societal
a
message. I
steaming
am
pile of
lying.
garbage.
I
It
am
is.
lying. It's impressive how bad it is.
It's not even so bad. It's fun. It's like it's so bad. Richard Brody in the New Yorker also wrote a great review about it. Also about how there's no interiority, but he also makes a point that I think is so valuable, which is like none of the kind of forms that it has, the musical and like the visual forms, serve any purpose. My husband was just like, he paused his Kindle Fire for a moment on the plane and turned to me and was like, why is this a musical? And I love musicals. But in a musical, the songs are supposed to like propel the action forward or tell you something that you're not already being shown or seen, or heard about the characters. It reminded
or
me
be
of.
sung by people who can speak the language they're singing in. I'm just picking.
Yeah,
Nancy.
I know. I know. There's I love this anthology of movie reviews by Lindy West, called Shit Actually. The titular review is the movie Love Actually. And Lindy West's review of Love Actually, I think is like Pulitzer Prize. I read it like on Christmas Eve basically every year. It's so amazing. And she has this whole tirade about Love Actually, about how like it's not how the world works. She's like, that's not how airports work. That's not how this works. That's not how love works. And I started like writing one about Amelia Perez that was like, that's not how gender works. That's not how gender transitions work. That's not how Mexico City works. By the way, you like never saw this beautiful city. It was just like one market. That's not how Spanish works. That's not how grief works. That's not how crime syndicates work. That's not how musicals work. And on and on and on and on. That movie just like didn't work. And so when you ask about what it's saying about being a woman, it's a movie that I guess says that like being a woman is good and being a man is bad. But the version of womanhood that it has is not interesting to me and also winds up killing you.
Yes, but you end up being a saint. Yes, is specifically if you are a pre-transition trans person, you are a drug dealer and are evil. If you are a post-transition trans person, you are a angel.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm like, if that's
Oh,
it's
really? Oh,
oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have a well articulated thing about womanhood. I think that the theme about womanhood in movies this year was sex.
yeah,
Was
and in
the
culture more
sex in
generally.
Yep, the sex in Baby Girl, the sex in Honora, the sex in Janet Planet, and I think it was really nuanced. I think that there's Baby Girl haters out there because, I think some people wanted it to have this like finality about, what it all means that women are exploring their sexuality, and it doesn't. And, I heard the director talking on Death, Sex, and Money about like, she's like, we're still having this conversation. And so I think this year was just a conversation about women and sex, and we shouldn't take it too seriously. But this is like, we're just exploring shit here. And I think things were explored very well. By the way, there's some really great sex in Sasquatch Sunset and some very interesting motherhood and womanhood. And that's a good one. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a movie by David and Nathan Zellner, fabulous undersung filmmakers about a group of Sasquatches. And Jesse Eisenberg triumphs as a Sasquatch. He had a really big year.
Both in Sasquatch and non-Sasquatch parts.
I want him to
we
be
should
the
recognize that more. Yeah.
Face of masculinity for 2025.
Oh,
You and Jesse can share it.
Oh, no, I think he's. I'm busy with other stuff. I've got 2 kids. He can be the face of masculinity.
I think he has some kids too. One of them was in his movie.
Oh, see,
So
he's
cute.
already being a more empowering dad than I am.
That could be you. That could be you.
And I haven't even made any of my children a sand messiah yet.
Not yet. The year is young.
I tacked it on. Yes.
Well, I know I got to let you go. Can you give us very quickly your best and worst kids movies of the year? I will say my best was Half of Flow. I still haven't finished it. I assume the cat dies, but I thought it was beautiful. And my worst, which was also, I think, my worst movie of the year, just below Amelia Perez. We both have one movie that was worse than Amelia Perez, and mine is Garfield the movie.
Which I have not watched, in spite of the fact that it is a fatherhood movie. And
Wait, you were totally defending it to me without having watched it?
I didn't defend it. What I did was, you said Garfield movie, and I said in all caps, a movie about fatherhood. Yeah. That is all I said. That is all I said again about it. But I have not seen it whatsoever. Yeah. I think Garfield as a character is funny. He loves lasagna, hates Mondays. I'm
Venmoing you $3.99 right now so you can watch Garfield the movie, and then we'll record another episode. But what was your best and worst with kids?
All right. So I should note, most of the kids' movies of this year I've not seen yet. I've not seen Flow yet. Have not seen Moana 2 yet. Have not seen Despicable Me 4 yet. This is a combination of my kids deciding they don't want to watch it, and or Moana 2, when we split up in Christmas, I took the teenage nieces to see A Complete Unknown. Kirsty, my wife, took my kids to Moana 2. So, but they will tell you Moana 2 was the best kids movie of this year, they would say. They would say 100% it was great. They say the songs so slap. I have listened to the songs a ton. I agree. I think the songs slap. I would say into a classic animated kids movie.
My daughter had to leave Moana 2. It was too scary.
That was me during The Substance. There we go.
She couldn't fast forward at the theater. Do you find yourself like pressing a phantom remote control at the screen? Or do you just not put yourself in that situation?
I just hide my shirt like a little baby. 100%.
Like a little Nicole Kidman.
Like a little Nicole Kidman.
Porn.
I whisper things to the Harris Dickinson in my heart. If you count Wicked as a kids movie, I think Wicked was the best.
Oh, 100%. I wasn't doing that, but saw it twice in the theater. Really well done.
Fun as hell. Ariana Grande, great comic actor. Yeah, 100%. I thought it was fun. Funny. And I think theater kids should have their thing. I think that this is important. And I thought that was actually, that's a great segue. I thought that therefore the worst movie that I watched with my kids, and that I thought was still okay. It made 22nd on my list, which meant it did not make like the too bad, like lane. But like Mean Girls, the musical, felt inessential. And I think had less of that fun theater kid energy than Wicked did.
So if we're not doing theater kid, why are we here?
That's right. Although great vocal performance by Moana. Ollie Cavallo was in the Mean Girls remake.
Big year. She had a Jesse Eisenberg of a year.
And my understanding is no Sasquatch-based parts for her. But
Mm,
shout out from a girl.
there's still time. Yeah, there's always next year. Well, thank you, Garrett, so much for joining us. I'll be messaging you on Oscar night. I encourage everybody listening to go subscribe to the white pages. I'm sure
There'll be
there
an
will
Oscar
be
post.
some,
Yeah.
yes, there will be some good Oscar content. Hopefully not before next year. I will see you again.
Cheers. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks for listening to the Mother of It All Movie Club. And like my mom always said, sorry I can't come to your piano recital, honey. I'm busy making your brother the Messiah. The Mother of It All is produced by Opus Knox Media with music from It's Electric. If you liked this episode, why not send it to a friend right now? Go on, we'll wait. You can follow us on Substack at themotherofitall.substack.com, where subscribing will get you episodes and bonus posts in your inbox and connect you with the Mother of It All listener community. Plus, become a paid subscriber and get a hot off the presses Mother of It All canvas tote. We're also on Instagram at the Mother of It All, and you can email us anytime with ideas or feedback at motherculturepod@gmail.com.